So many supermarkets in the UK have one of these, but have you ever actually looked at one of them? Like, have you noticed that most of them don't actually show the real time? A clock tower on a supermarket, if you think about it, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, this isn't a town square, it's a car park. And it's clearly not serving any functional purpose because it's not even set right. So why do so many supermarkets built in the 80s and 90s have one of these? And is it just a coincidence that that's also the time the supermarkets basically took over our country? Our story starts in 1964. If I ask you to imagine what a supermarket should look like, you'll find it pretty easy because you've seen hundreds of them. But when they were designing Britain's first edge-of-town supermarket in Nottinghamshire, it was a blank slate. And although people didn't know what a supermarket should look like, they decided pretty quickly that it shouldn't look like this. These early supermarkets were based on designs from America, and for a while, the novelty of the store that sells everything was enough to make people look past the ugly exterior.
They claim that everything here is cheaper, but how much cheaper? And how frightened are Caerphilly's small shopkeepers?
I don't see anybody in town going down to the hypermarket in the middle of the week for a cauliflower or a couple of pound of potatoes, you see.
Unfortunately, that's exactly what was starting to happen. Once the stores were built, people seemed to flock to them, but as the 1970s rolled around, it was getting harder and harder to get them built in the first place. People didn't like the way they looked. The architecture critic Wright said that the retailers had chosen the image of the concentration camp, and local councils were starting to become uncooperative as well. Clearly a new design was going to be needed, but what could it be?
South Woodham Ferrers on a river by the sea. South Woodham Ferrers, it's a whole new place to be.
Over in Essex, a new town was being built, and the council wanted to put a supermarket right next to the town square. But they had a very strict design guide, which required all buildings to have specific Essex characteristics, and so Asda came up with an idea. 15 miles away, in a town called Coggeshall, there is a 14th century barn and a Victorian clock tower. I haven't found solid proof that this is where they got the idea, but these two buildings are suspiciously similar to their final design. This was the first supermarket that looked like this, and now the clock tower makes sense. It's next to a town square, so it fits in perfectly. It still wasn't working when I went there, but still, Asda was onto something here. Turns out if you want to design a supermarket that fits into a local area, you've got to go out, do your research, find some local references, build something that really fits. So is that what they did? A design that was tailor-made for one community became a template that was pasted across the nation. The original reason for the clock tower was forgotten, and the design became known as the Essex Barn style. By 1979, Asda was using the South Woodham Ferrers store to try and cast off the image of the ugly supermarket. If you're of the opinion that a superstore means an eyesore, we hope the evidence from South Woodham Ferrers will make you think twice. By the mid-90s, supermarkets had taken over retail. This design had served its purpose, and so it was done away with, in favour of designs that are easier and cheaper to mass produce. More recent supermarkets occasionally have clock towers, but that's just because it's kind of an expected thing now. Supermarkets sometimes have clock towers. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, they might even show the correct time. And it might not rain. That'll do.
South Woodham Ferrers on a river by the sea. South Woodham Ferrers, it's a whole new place to be. Out in the country, we're really on the move. So bring your family to South Woodham Ferrers.